The Real McCoys, starring Walter Brennan, created by Irving Pincus.
Want you to meet the family known as the Real McCoys. That's Grandpappy Amos, the head of the clan. He roars like a lion, but he's gentle as a lamb. And now here's Luke, who beams with joy since he's made Kate Mrs. Luke McCoy. From West Virginia they came to stay in sunny California. Old Grandpappy Amos and the girls and the boys of the family known as the Real McCoys.
It's a deal, old friend.
It's a deal, old friend.
It's an even trade. My 4 acres again that 4 acres of yours that runs alongside of us. Right?
Right.
Right. Kate, will you get us some siding?
Sure, Grandpa.
And say, Luke.
Yeah, Grandpa?
Will you go out and get that 2x4 that's holding up the mule stall and cut it up into stakes so as I can mark out the piece of ground I'm trading to George, huh?
Yeah, but Grandpa, if I take away that 2x4, the stall will fall in.
Oh, lean again the mule. It'll be all right for the time. You go ahead and compete.
You know, Amos, when my piece of land lay way over here by your place, well, it was just too far to bother working it.
It's just the same with that 4 acres of mine over by your place. I've been leaving it lay fallow there.
Shameful waste of land, Amos.
Yeah?
Yeah, thank you, Kate. Well, you know, land is like young'uns. If you don't turn it on the other side regularly, it'll spoil on you.
Well, it's a mighty friendly thing you're doing, Amos.
Yeah.
So, here's looking at you.
Well, there's no friend in what you're doing, George.
Well, if you say so, Amos, here's looking at you.
Well, speaking of friendship, there's one important thing to remember.
What's that?
Well, if a friend can't do a friendly thing for a friend, he ain't no friend at all. Because any friend will do a friendly thing for a friend. If he is a friend.
You're absolutely right, Amos. And that's why I know I can ask you to do me a mighty big favor.
Well, you just name it and I'll do it.
Let me drink this cider before I die of thirst.
Nation.
Oil!
Say, we're just a-setting on an ocean of black gold. And every black, shiny, beautiful drop of it's all Alan. Alan!
Grandpa, are we rich?
Rich? Why, we can buy anything we want. And a few things we don't even want.
What can I have, Grandpa? Huh?
You, boy? We're going to get you the biggest, shiniest bicycle that was ever made. And, Kate, you ain't going to have to lift a finger in the scrubbing and the washing no more. We're going to get you a scrubbing maid and a cleaning maid and a cooking maid, and we're going to get you a maid to look after all of them maids. Yes, sir. We're going to buy all them things and a lot more things. And the best part of the whole thing is that we ain't going to have to worry no more. No more worry about money. Where it's coming from. And when it's coming. And if it's coming. Lord, I want to thank you for guiding my footsteps in the North 4 acres. And especially right into that puddle.
The North 4 acres, Grandpa?
Right smack in the middle of it.
Oh, no.
Oh.
What's the matter with you two? You sick or something?
Grandpa, don't you recollect why you was in the North 4?
Of course I recollect what I was doing out in them 4 acres. I was out there staking out a piece of ground I traded to my good friend George McMichael. I don't feel too good. Now, wait a minute. Just one goddamn minute. They want no paper signed. It want a legal trade.
Grandpa, you give him your hand on it.
Well, I was shaking hands goodbye.
In the middle of the conversation, Grandpa?
Well, handshake ain't no signature.
Grandpa, you told me that a McCoy hand was better than a signature.
Who asked you to butt in? When does a poor dirt farmer like me get a chance to get rich? To provide things for his family that He ain't never been close enough prayer to afford. Well, my chance has come. And I ain't thrown it away for nobody.
Grandpa, you ain't never going to rest easy doing a thing like that to your best friend.
Yes, I will. Because I just suddenly realized that I won't be doing it to my best friend.
How do you figure that, Grandpa?
Well, if George McMichael was my best friend, I wouldn't be stooping to such a low-down, dirty trick. Right?
Right.
So how come I'm stooping? Tarnation. Oil. Oil, it's mine. It's all mine. That's beautiful oil, gorgeous oil. Flora! Flora! We're rich. Flora! We're rich. No, it's no mirage.
Oh, George, you mean we're rich?
The richest.
Oh, my goodness, you mean we can afford anything? Anything at all? Anything we want?
Oh, am I going to buy things? I'm going to buy me new seat covers for the car. I'm going to... Oh, what am I talking about? I'm going to buy me a new car. And I'm going to buy me a mansion with maids all over the place and a swimming pool.
And a mink coat.
No, Flora, even though I can afford to wear one, don't you think it's kind of showing off?
No, George, for me.
Oh, sure, little sister. I'll even buy you one of them purposes where the animal is biting its own tail.
You know, I just hardly can believe it's true. Where is it, George? Where?
Well, I was out in our piece of land, staking it out for Amos, see? I was driving them in, and all of a sudden...
Just a minute. The piece you traded to Amos, is that where you found the oil?
That's right. Yeah. And I... Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, George, I'm sorry.
Well, Flora, wait a minute. We ain't signed the deal yet, so it's mine, still mine.
But, George, you gave him your hand on the trade, and he's your best friend.
I don't like him anymore. I ain't going through with the deal. I ain't.
But, George, you can't go back on your word.
No, why not?
Because Amos is an honest man. And if the situation were reversed and the oil was found on the property he traded you, you know what Amos would say?
Over my dead body, that's how it is.
Grandpa, you traded, and a trade is a trade.
But I never knowed it. You think I'd have done it if I'd have known it? I had to be out of my mind. That's it. That's what I'll do.
What?
Go out of my mind.
Oh, Grandpa.
You know how you read in the paper about someone getting a knock in the head, and they forget everything, and they ain't held responsible for all the things that happened before that? That's what I'll do. And George will come around and I'll say, I don't know you.
Paul?
And then I'll say, I got me a knock in the head. I don't recollect trading no land with you. Go on, give me a knock. Right a few knocks. Come on.
Grandpa, you're plumb crazy.
I don't need you to hip me.
Where are you going now?
I'm going over to George's and get out of that deal.
How
can Grandpa treat his best friend this way? Poor George. What's he gonna say?
Best friends are a dime a dozen.
But, George, think how he'll feel when he finds out.
Terrible.
Well, won't that make you feel terrible, too?
Oh, sure.
Well, then,
For a fortune in oil, I'm willing to feel terrible.
where are you going?
I'm going over to see Amos and get out of this deal.
But, George, you can't do an awful thing like that.
Oh, no? Then how come I'm doing it? Hi, Amos.
Howdy, George.
Where you going?
Oh, I was Where was you going, George?
Oh, Could be a nice day tomorrow, don't you think?
Might not be.
Oh, you could be right. It's touch black over there. Amos, I may try putting in some beets this year.
Yeah. Well, I was figuring on trying me a crop of lettuce. Hey, say, George, you weren't figuring on putting them beets in that piece of land I'm a-trading you, was you?
Maybe. You wasn't thinking of putting in lettuce in the piece I'm trading you.
Maybe. You know, George, I don't think that piece of land I'm trading you's got the right sort of soil for beets, though.
Well, don't think the one I'm trading you would be too good for lettuce.
I'm sorry to hear that. Sort of had my heart set on lettuce.
Had mine set in beets.
You know, I hate to see you in a spot like this, seeing as how you're my best friend.
Well, Amos, I'd say something if it didn't look like I was trying to pull out of the deal we made.
Yeah, me too. What would you say, George?
What would you say, Amos?
Oh, well, I hate to stand between a man and his beets.
Well, I kind of feel like I'm keeping you in your lettuce part.
I'd be willing to call the whole trade off if it was all right with you.
Amos, you're a real friend.
Well, Grandpa, you got your riches now. Just remember that you got 'em by cheating the kindest, most loyal friend a man ever had.
Oh, hogwash. I've done the same thing to a stranger.
But George ain't a stranger, Grandpa. You forgetting all he done for you?
He never done nothing.
Oh, no? How about the time he saved you from a fate worse than death?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Amanda Comstock, that's what.
Oh, yeah. You remember the widow Comstock?
Don't say it. That name still sends shivers down my spine.
Then you remember how if it wasn't for George, he'd be sitting right here at this table as your wife.
Well, I recollect it some, but you just give me 1 minute and I'll drive it right out of my mind.
Oh, no, you won't, because I'm going to recollect it for you. Remember? Amanda Comstock was chasing you, and she wouldn't leave you be. And then George thought up a plan to...
There you are, Amos, you great big sugar plum, you. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Miss Comstock.
What's the matter, Amos? Cat cut your tongue?
Cat's get on me. When are you going to leave me be?
Ain't that just like a man to run away from what's good for him? You see, when they're little boys, you have to force them to take their medicine.
Well, if you're comparing yourself to a dose of castor oil, I agree with you.
I just love the things he says.
Hello, Mrs. Comstock.
Hello.
I put the ginger beer in the icebox.
Thank you, Peppino.
Madre mía, qué friega le arrimaron a don Jorge. George, what happened to you?
I see you didn't tell him, did you, Amos?
What happened, George?
I'll let him tell you that. But, Amos, I want you to know I forgive you. A temper like you got's a sickness, and you can't blame a man for being sick.
Amos, did you do this?
Well, Amanda, like I said, he can't be blamed, so don't say another word. He's in trouble enough as it is. The judge said just one more time he'd put him away for good.
What judge? And I think I'll be leaving now.
You ain't leaving now, Amanda. Why, you just got here. You gonna listen to this skunk or me? I don't lose my temper. Don't you believe me? Gad, blast it!
Don't go now. The ginger beer is getting cold.
No, I really don't want him.
Amanda! Come back! Don't leave me now! Oh, Amanda, don't leave me now.
George, congratulations on a real fine job of play acting. Magnifico, senor, magnifico.
What do you got to say now, huh?
I'm a polecat. Just a low-down, dirty, miserable polecat. How McCoy can turn his back on a friend out of pure greed. I ought to be wearing sackcloth and ashes. I can't stand to face myself no more. I gotta go tell George the truth straight out.
Now we're proud of you, Grandpa.
Maybe I better finish eating before I go. You know, a man builds up an awful appetite, repenting so fierce.
Cheating your best and most loyal friend.
Ah, he ain't such a good friend.
George, you've developed a very short memory.
What do you mean?
Just this. How important is the Mystic Nile Lodge to you?
The lodge? Well, it's my life.
Well, do you remember when you and Amos applied for membership? They accepted Amos, but they turned you down. But now you're in the lodge, George. And why do you think you are? It's because of Amos.
I don't remember him doing nothing.
Oh, you don't? Well, then, just remember. It was the night of Amos's initiation in the Mystic Nile Lodge.
Almighty Pharaoh and sons of the Mystic Nile, behold your new brother, s03e McCoy. s03e McCoy, prepare yourself for the sacred oath. Face the east.
I can't.
No, it's over this way. You know where the Nile is. Now then, repeat after me.
I can't join your lodge.
You can't? Why?
No, I couldn't belong to no lodge that had turned down my good friend George McMichael. George is as good a man as I am. And it's a fact I wouldn't say it to his face, but maybe he's a little bit better than me.
But, Amos, I told you why he's not in. The committee gave him every consideration.
Yeah, they give him everything but understanding.
How's that?
Did you ever stop to think the man who'd do what George done sure must have wanted to get into your lodge? Well, there's a man that never knuckled under to no one. And if he did butter up to you, it's only because he wanted to get in so bad. I guess you fellas are too close to this lodge to know how it is with somebody like George. I don't say the way he tried to get in was the right way, but I do say he's only guilty of one thing, and that's wanting something an awful lot. And let me tell you something while I'm here. Any man that wants to get in that bad would make the best girl-done member you ever had. But if that's the kind of men you're turning down, why, I don't want to have nothing to do with none of you.
And the committee was so impressed with those words that the very next day they reversed their vote and you were admitted. How can you forget all that, George?
I can't, Flora. I was just blinded by money, but that's over. I ain't gonna let a fine, decent friend like Amos McCoy down. I'll go over there right now and tell him the whole truth.
You'll never regret what you're doing.
No, Flora. I never will.
George?
Hi. Amos, I was just coming over to, have a little talk with you.
Well, George, I was just coming over to do the same thing with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got something I want to say, and I want to say it straight out.
Amos, if someone has something to say right out, I do.
No, George, now, What's Peppino doing with that tractor way up here? What are you doing up here?
Nothing.
Well, for doing nothing, it sure looks like you're doing something. It sure does. What do you got in there?
Nothing.
Come on now.
Nothing.
Where'd you get this oil, Peppino?
It's from the crankcase of the car and the tractor.
What are you doing with it way up here?
Dumping it.
Dumping it? Why ain't you dumping in the city dump where you're supposed to?
Well, the city dump is too far. If I take it there, I lose a whole hour's work.
A whole hour's sleep, you mean? Peppino, I ought to...
Peppino, if I can ask, where around here have you been dumping that oil? All over the place. It's on your grandpa's property, over there your property, all over the place. I'm sorry if I cause any trouble. No, don't you worry. You didn't cause any trouble. Did he?
No. What trouble could he cause by dumping a little oil on the ground? Nobody'd be stupid enough seeing crankcase drainers out there to think it was oil gushing up out from the ground underneath it, now would they?
How stupid can you get?
Nobody could be that stupid.